Hello, I'm Bridget from the Lake County Public Library, and today's middle grade book tasting is going to be for Fablehaven by Brandon Mull. It is able to be shared with the kind permission of Simon & Schuster and also Shadow Mountain Publishing. There is an AR level of 4.8 and it is worth 11 points. The Lexile is 700 and it is available on our library's Overdrive, and we also have physical copies within our library system. It is a fantasy type genre, however, people who like comedies and family relationships and mysteries will also enjoy this style of book. The book is about Kendra and her younger brother Seth, who go to stay with their grandparents during the summer. However, they don't realize that the other guests on their parents' property are mythological and magical creatures. Despite their grandfather's best efforts to keep the children safe and unaware of the magic that surrounds them, the children end up mixing up in a magical mess and trying to navigate the lands and beings. Have you ever had someone teetering along the edge of trouble while trying to get you tangled into it? Well, that's kind of the feeling that I had as I was reading it. Seth, the little brother, pushes the limits the grandfather set and doesn't like listening to Kendra's voice of reason to avoid the magic. But the tension and consequences of this causes the children to be forced to make some really tough decisions and grow more into friends than just siblings. The recommended reader's age is 9 to 13, and my nieces Sammy and Sophie were the ones who recommended that I share this book with you today. However, their mom and grandmother both also enjoy it as well. The vivid descriptions and hilarious moments with the children made me laugh out loud and cringe at some really gross, grimy parts, and also cheer on for them. It's entertaining, thrilling, heart-wrenching, and endearing. It is the first book in a series of 5 books, and there's also a new continuing series called Dragon Watch that recently released the 3rd or 5th books. Fablehaven has also been discussed to be made into a movie, but we're still waiting to hear more about that. And the chapter, or bits of the chapter I'm going to read, is after the children arrive and begin to discover what's really happening, that there's something more going on at their grandparents' house. So Seth and Kendra had gone out to the pool to try and cool off and just take a break from being inside the house. When Kendra grew bored, she got out of the pool. Walking toward the table to retrieve her towel, she stroked her long hair, enjoying the rubbery texture as the wetness made the strands cling together. Seth climbed on top of a big rock near the deep end. "Watch this can opener." He jumped with one leg straight and the other bent. "Good job," Kendra said to placate him when he surfaced. Shifting her gaze to the table, Kendra froze. Hummingbirds, bumblebees, butterflies all swirled in the air above the handheld mirror. Several other butterflies and a couple of large dragonflies actually rested on the surface of the mirror itself. "Seth, come look at this," Kendra hissed in a loud whisper. "What? Just come here." Seth boosted himself out of the pool and paddled over to Kendra, arms folded. He stared at the cloud of life whirling above the mirror. "What's their deal?" "I don't know," she replied. "Do insects like mirrors?" "These ones do. Look at the red and white butterfly. It's enormous. Same with that dragonfly," Seth pointed out. "I wish I had a camera. I dare you to go get the mirror." Seth shrugged. "Sure." He trotted over to the table, grabbed the mirror by the handle, dashed to the pool, and dove in. Some of the insects scattered instantly. The majority drifted in the direction Seth had gone, but dispersed before reaching the pool. Seth surfaced. "Any bees after me?" "Get the mirror out of the water, you'll ruin it." "Settle down, it's fine," he said, stroking it over to the side. "Give it to me." She took the mirror from him and tried to wipe it dry with her towel. It looked undamaged. "Let's try an experiment." Kendra placed the mirror face up on a lounge chair and backed away. "Think they'll come back?" "We'll see." Kendra and Seth sat down at the table not far from the lounge chair. After less than a minute, a hummingbird glided over the mirror and hovered above it. Soon it was joined by a few butterflies. A bumblebee alighted on the face. Before long, another swarm of small winged creatures crowded the mirror. Go turn the mirror face down, Kendra said. I want to see whether they like the reflection or the mirror itself. Seth crept toward the mirror. The little animals took no apparent notice of his approach. He reached forward slowly, flipped the mirror over, and then retreated to the table. The butterflies and bees that had landed on the mirror took flight when it was overturned, but only a few of the winged creatures flew away. Most of the swarm lingered. A pair of butterflies and a dragonfly landed on the lounge chair at the end of the mirror. Taking flight, they flipped the mirror over, nearly sliding it off the chair in the process. With the reflective surface showing again, the swarm pressed close. Several of the creatures landed on the face. Did you see that? Kendra asked. That was weird, Seth said. How could they be strong enough to lift it? There were a few of them. Want me to flip it again? No, I'm scared the mirror will fall off and break. Okay, he draped his towel over his shoulder. I'm going to change. Would you take the mirror? Fine, but I'm running. I don't want to get stung. Seth moved toward the mirror slowly, snatched it, and ran off into the garden toward the house. Part of the swarm gave lazy pursuit before scattering. Kendra wrapped the towel around her waist, picked up the sunblock Seth had left behind, and stared toward the house. When Kendra reached the attic playroom, Seth was dressed in jeans, a long-sleeve camouflage t-shirt. He picked up his cereal box that served as his emergency survival kit and headed for the door. Where are you going? None of your business, unless you want to come. How will I know whether I want to come if you don't tell me where you're going? Seth gave her a measuring stare. Promise to keep it a secret? Let me guess. Into the woods? Want to come? You'll get Lyme disease, Kendra warned. Whatever, ticks are everywhere, same with poison ivy. If people let that stop them, nobody would ever go anywhere. But Grandpa Sorensen doesn't want us in the woods, she protested. All right, so now I'm gonna skip a few pages. Kendra went upstairs into the attic playroom to get changed and was exploring a little bit, but then now, curious, Kendra rushed downstairs and out the back door. Dale was nowhere in sight. She trotted across the lawn to the low hedge below the attic window. Grass continued for about 6 feet beyond the hedge before stopping abruptly at the perimeter of the forest. On the grass behind the hedge rested a large pie tin full of milk. An iridescent hummingbird hung suspended over the pie tin, wings a faint blur. Several butterflies flirted around the hummingbird. Occasionally, one would descend and splash in the milk. The hummingbird flew away and a dragonfly approached. It was a smaller crowd than the mirror had attracted, but there was much more activity than Kendra would have expected around a pool of milk. She watched as a variety of tiny winged animals came and went, feeding from the pie tin. Did butterflies drink milk? Did dragonflies? Apparently so. It was not long before the level of milk in the pie tin had markedly fallen. Kendra looked up at the attic. It had only 2 windows facing the same side of the house. She visualized the room behind those gabled windows and suddenly realized that the playroom consumed only half the space the attic should fill. Abandoning the tin of milk, she walked around to the opposite side of the house. On the far side was a second pair of attic windows. She was right. There was another half to the attic, but she knew of no other stairway granting access to the uppermost story, which meant there might be some sort of secret passage in the playroom. Maybe the final key unlocked it. Just as she had decided to return to the attic and search for a hidden door, Kendra noticed Dale coming from the direction of the barn with another pie tin. She hurried toward him. When he saw her coming, she looked temporarily uncomfortable, then put on a big smile. "What are you doing?" Kendra asked. "Just taking some milk to the house," he replied, changing direction a bit. He had been heading toward the woods. "Really? Why'd you leave that other milk behind the hedge?" "Other milk?" He could not have looked more guilty. "Yeah, the butterflies are drinking it." Dale was no longer walking. He regarded Kendra shrewdly. "Can you keep a secret?" "Sure." Dale looked around as if someone might be watching. "We have a few milking cows. They make plenty of milk, so I put out some of the excess for the insects. Keeps the garden lively." "Why is that a secret?" "I'm not sure your grandfather would ever approve." "Never ask permission. He might consider it wasteful." "Seems like a good idea to me. I notice all the different kinds of butterflies in your garden, more than I've ever seen, plus all the hummingbirds." He nodded. "I like it. Adds to the atmosphere." "So you weren't taking that milk to the house?" No, this milk hasn't been pasteurized. Full of bacteria. You could catch all sorts of diseases. Not fit for people. Insects, on the other hand, they seem to like it best this way. You won't spoil my secret." "I'll keep quiet." "Good girl," he said with a conspiratorial wink. "Where are you putting that one?" "Over there," he jerked his head towards the woods. "I set a few on the border of the yard every day." "Does it spoil?" "I don't leave it out long enough. Some days the insects consume all the milk before I collect the pans. Thirsty critters." "See you later, Dale." "You seen your brother here about?" "I think he's in the house." "That's so?" She shrugged. "Maybe." Kendra turned and started toward the house. She glanced back as she mounted the stairs to the rear porch. Dale was placing the milk behind a small round bush. So that's the end of chapter 2, and things are starting to get pretty interesting for those two. If you have any questions or comments, you can always email us at kids@lcplin.org, and we'll try and answer your questions as soon as possible. Also, we're going to be doing our summer reading program starting in July. July 6th, I believe, is our kickoff program. And it's going to be a little different this year with everything that's been happening in the world, but it'll still be a fun program for everyone who wants to read and enjoys reading. And there'll be some good prizes for everyone to try and enter in a contest to try and win. If you have any other thoughts or suggestions, like I said, just send us an email and we'll get back to you. All right, thank you. Have a good rest of your day. Bye-bye.